Are we going? Okay. So it appears the microphone is working. So, at issue right now is this film scooper and YouTuber Grace Randolph. Okay, so everybody was arguing about Star Wars had tweeted about, oh, you can't, we're going to defend our people or whatever, and you guys can't say horrible shit to our people, just like they did with Kelly Marie Tran. There were people who didn't like The Last Jedi. I love The Last Jedi. In fact, I used to frequent awards daily, and I swear to God, I don't know if you could go back and find it, but every year we start saying who we want to be nominated for things. I thought she was adorable. I thought Kelly Marie Tran was great, and I was like, I would nominate her for Best Supporting Actress. And I said that. That was The Last Jedi was my favorite movie that year. And I know a lot of people who websites I go to and YouTube videos I watch, they really hate that movie, and they think you're a stupid person if you like it. I know I'm not stupid, and I've explained why I like it in a previous video. But so I'm watching this. I have not seen this Kenobi show, but I'm like, this is the same thing they did with Kelly Marie Tran. At the time, people did not like the movie, and they did not like the character. So the people, the powers that be, turn that into, well, the people who don't like it because they're racist. And I hadn't heard any racist things. And I spent time on the internet, and I watched the kind of people they were talking about, and I didn't hear anybody say any racist shit. Okay, I know people don't like a woke agenda being pushed down their throat, but I didn't think that was happening at the time, and I didn't think people were saying that was happening at the time. Maybe some people were, but I don't remember anybody saying horrible things about Miss Tran. However, I didn't have her email address. I don't know what people were saying to her directly. She could have been getting all kinds of racist hate from people online that had maybe nothing to do with the fandom. It could have been random people pretending to be fans who just actually are racist, who were going after her, which could have caused her to quit social media, which then became the story, and it became a dogma that there are toxic Star Wars fans who chased Kelly Marie Tran off of social media because they're all racist, which then became Star Wars fans are racist. And then you get the Brie Larson saying, well, who cares what a 45-year-old guy thinks? And then it just became this one blanket thing that Gen X white males who grew up on Star Wars are all racists. And this is like the dogma that they keep wanting. This is the bullshit flag they're going to fly every time people criticize a Star Wars thing, and there's somebody who they can use as the focal point of the supposed racist hatred. Now, again, haven't seen the movie, don't know. I mean, haven't seen the movie, haven't seen the TV show, don't know why people are criticizing it. It probably isn't great, because honestly, most of the shit on Disney Plus is that it's shit. And there's a lot of people I like in some of these things, and some of them, I mean, Jeremy Renner's been one of my favorite actors for over a decade, before he was in any Marvel movie, and I forced myself to watch Hawkeye, which was absolute trash. Because why? Because of the current way of thinking in Hollywood. They decided to focus on the young female instead of actual Hawkeye, and the two of them have their rapport was not great. I'm not saying they hated each other or anything, but they were not a good team. And the title of the show was Hawkeye, and whatever they were doing didn't make sense in the first place. There is a boom car outside that's distracting me a little. I don't know if you can hear it. And besides that, it was just garbagey. It was poorly done. I did some reviews of those episodes. They weren't very good at the time that I had Disney. Loki was okay. The fact that Loki was pretty good was like a miracle. So I probably overrated it, and a lot of people probably did. Otherwise, I haven't seen some of the things that are on there. It just looks like something to sit your kid in front of, which a lot of Disney movies, at one point Disney movies were amazing. Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, but then, just like everything else, they became something that the parents put in the VCR and later the DVD player to just let it babysit the kid. So a lot of the stuff that Disney puts out nowadays seems to be that, you know, the thing to babysit the kid. But Disney tries to get their messages in there as well, and some people don't want their kids getting certain messages, and they complain about it, which is their right. I know people would like to take away free speech, but it's your right. So this woman is in this show. People are saying things to her or they're not. I've heard that the show's not great. I've seen the tomato meter. I've never been a fan of the tomato meter because aggregates do jack shit for me. Some of my favorite things, I mean, again, Staying Alive is supposed to be one of the worst movies ever made. It's in my top 20. And I've seen thousands of films. So those kind of things have no effect on me. I don't own stock. I don't own a company that has public stock. So I don't care what aggregates think. I don't care what everybody else thinks. If I like it, I'm going to like it. But I have not seen it. But I'm watching the same thing play out. And I'm watching the same people get upset and have the same argument with this huge company, Disney, who owns Star Wars. And it's the same shit over and over again. And it's like, it just keeps pushing this divide, this race-based agenda that nobody wants, because unbeknownst to rich white people in Hollywood, the rest of us were getting along fine for decades. You know, after the Civil Rights Movement, people were blending and mixing. There were mixed race people everywhere, mixed communities everywhere. You just didn't live in them. You looked around and all your neighbors were white. And then you decided that everybody else was racist. But so this comes up again, and in these tweets, when Star Wars was like, we're going to defend our actors and blah, 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 people were like, well, you didn't defend Gina Carano. And then I saw a tweet, and I don't know if this was Grace Randolph's tweet that I saw, but now I'm seeing it, and it looks like it may have been. So this person, Mr. Man, said, unless you're Gina Carano. And then Grace Randolph responded, Gina Carano made anti-Semitic and anti-trans statements repeatedly. Now, I swear I saw either this tweet or a tweet that was almost exactly like it, because I saw somebody say that about Gina, and I remember back to when this happened. I remember when she was fired. I was somebody who watched videos from Geeks and Gamers every day, and so I saw the whole thing play out, and it very much seemed like this woman was being attacked for something she didn't even do. I remember what the supposed tweets were. I've been following on Twitter this whole time. The woman tweets like, what do you want to call them? Not self-help things, but like, you know, little quotes and little candle things, and she says thank you to people, and it's just she seems like a nice lady who's relatively quiet, doesn't say a lot, you know, and just, you know, or inspirational quotes, that's what I'm trying to say, stuff like that. Every once in a while she'll say what movie she's gonna watch or something. Harmless. Every once in a while she will comment on something, and I understand people don't like her politics and it doesn't go along with the woke side of things, and that's fine. But this stuff, she made anti-Semitic and anti-trans statements repeatedly. I saw a tweet like this. I think there was another one about her anti-vax or whatever, and I recall that in the middle of the vaccine frenzy, there was a hint that she was not completely in favor of the vaccine agenda. I don't know that she ever said, don't get vaccinated. I don't remember any of that shit. The anti-Semitic thing, I remember what it was supposed to be. She tweeted a picture that I guess had been used in anti-Semitic propaganda back before we were all born, without knowing. And but to look at the photo, you wouldn't know it. You would, I mean, it was not a photo, it was like a cartoon drawing, like a Doonesbury type cut, probably, again, way before Doonesbury existed, you know, those kind of drawings or whatever about that had either actually been anti-Semitic or was used by people who were anti-Semitic, just to, you know, just like you see a picture and you tweet it because it looks like something and you don't know. So there were all kinds of meetings and all this stuff like that, and eventually she ended up getting fired. And people were upset because they liked her in the show. They didn't think it was right they felt like you need to be able to have your own opinions, which I agree with. So the idea that somebody got fired from their job was totally wrong, because you should have the right to free speech. You should be able to say whatever you want. And if your workplace doesn't like your opinions, you know, it has nothing to do with the job, except now when they're trying to protect their stock price. This is what it's all about. This is what I've said it's about. So now they're doing it again. In this Grace Randolph tweet, it's like, what is she talking about? She made anti-Semitic and anti-trans statements repeatedly. I have not, I mean, how did I not see any of these? Repeated statements. And I'm just like, does she even know what she's talking about? Now, Grace Randolph, there was a point in time where I was subscribed to her channel, but over time I wasn't interested in that much of the movie industry business, and I was like, okay, whatever. So every once in a while I just unsubscribe from a lot of people because I can't manage that many channels. But she seems like somebody who really follows the movie industry, and she states her opinion too. Sometimes she's wrong or I disagree with her, but that's fine. That's fine. You know, she's something of a news source where when you turn on Extra or these kind of things, they're mostly just gossip. Now, if you really wanted to know daily updates on the movie business and, you know, how box office was and things like that, you know, it's an information source for you. But I don't know why she said this about Gina, because I'm sitting there saying, when I read that, because I'm not arrogant, because I don't think I know everything in the world, and I think this is where I'm really starting to have a problem, because I need to get arrogant. Because I look at this stuff and I'm like, I must have missed it. If Gina said this, did I miss something? I didn't see it. Where's this coming from? I mean, I've never heard of this. Does this woman know what she's talking about? Or is she just saying things? Now, here's somebody else I know about. Russell Brand. Okay? This is the same thing of people not knowing what they're talking about. And this has been going on for the last 6 weeks. Give or take. With the media in general. The entertainment media especially. Okay. Russell Brand, I've always thought was a very brilliant guy. I think his mind moves so fast. It's pretty amazing. I became a fan of his when I went to see Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And after that, I was like all in. I thought he was completely hot. When there's somebody really smart, funny, and fast funny, like he and Jonah Hill, I thought was such an amazing team. I couldn't wait to Get Him to the Greek. I bought the freaking soundtrack from Get Him to the Greek. I mean, I have the CD somewhere in this house. I think he's brilliant. After that, I used to listen to his podcast. I mean, I cannot sit and pay attention to podcasts. I got other things to do. You know what I mean? I don't drive. I think that's when most people listen to podcasts. I used to sit and listen to that thing. I saw him in concert. The same weekend I saw George Michael in concert in Madison Square Garden. I saw Russell. I don't know if it was Irving Plaza. It was somewhere downtown because my hotel we stayed in was down there. Yeah, so that was back when he was still trying to be Jim Morrison or whatever the hell he was doing, and his hair was full of hairspray and everything. Way before he was trying to start to be philosophical, but way before his new guru business that he's trying to do. So he's been doing this guru shit for a long time, and he's been trying to be like he's over there meditating and trying to tell other people how to meditate and all this stuff like that. He's written a couple of books because he was an addict in the past, and I think he's a really smart guy. And then this last few weeks happened. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because, again, I am not for cancel culture. I do not think people should be canceled for bullshit that has nothing to do with their job. The worst case of the cancel culture was Johnny Depp. You had an incredible icon, a beloved figure for many, many years. Somebody I had been watching since 21 Jump Street, which was like the late 80s. Okay. I had watched Johnny on a million interviews. I knew he was not a bad man. The kind of shit that was said about him was beyond the pale, and he really would have to be a Jekyll and Hyde figure for that to be true. Okay. But without a trial, with just some accusations, pretty much one of the biggest, I mean, he could be the biggest movie star in the world. One of the biggest movie stars in the world was removed from Pirates of the Caribbean and the Grindelwald role in the Fantastic Beasts movies, which I thought he was amazing as Grindelwald. I was so pissed, and it was frightening. Every time, I am not a guy. I have not Me Too'd anybody. I have not been powerful. I've not been anybody's boss. But the fact that they could take a powerful man or somebody with all that clout, somebody with all that goodwill, and just besmirch them and ruin their name and just rip them right out of a franchise that they built and just say, okay, you're gone now. I mean, it frightened me. The day I got really shook up in the whole Me Too movement, I was, when Kevin Spacey went, within 24 hours of the accusations, I was shocked. The day I had gone to the grocery store, and there was the grocery store we have that I used to go to. They have a little cafeteria type area, so I would go there in the morning to get a latte and a donut because it was cheap, and I would sit and watch, because they had TVs. I would sit and watch the news, and Matt Lauer wasn't there, and it was like they fired Matt Lauer because of something, and I didn't know that it had happened, and I had my phone, and I was calling my mom to tell her because she was at work, and I was like, I was trying to dial the number, and my hand was, I saw my phone shaking because I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe you just rip somebody out like that, and so that they did this to all these people was frightening, because it was like they're just erasing people, and they quite literally erased Kevin Spacey. I believe they erased Louis C.K.'s voice from some animated things he'd been in. So this was like, okay, these people have been accused of something, just pretend they never existed. That is Nazi shit. That is some really, like, let us just wipe this person off the face of the earth on an accusation. That's what they did to Johnny Depp. That's what this whole trial has been about. The fact that Johnny has been vindicated by the people, and the media are still going hard trying to pretend that it was somehow a he said, she said, or they both got defamed. Well, no, they both weren't wrong. The whole world watched this and saw that this was not like this. This was like this, okay? One guy was totally telling the truth, and somebody else was doing some serious stuff, okay? And the whole world agreed on that. The people at home, the people on social media, the people on the jury, and a lot of people are glad, because it shows that men can be abused, and the whole believe all women trope is total and utter bullshit. You should never completely believe anybody about an accusation about someone else. It's disgusting. It was ridiculous. It's done so much harm, and I hope to God it's dead. The media, however, doesn't seem to want to let it die. Now, Russell Brand has been doing his channel for a long time, and it seemed like he was starting to go along and understand why some people were against mainstream media and all their bullshit. But here's a chink in the armor. Suddenly, he's totally going along with this narrative against Johnny Depp, and he's been doing it for the whole trial. And he comes out with a video saying, oh, how this is stupid, and oh, how it's just, why are we so distracted with celebrity, and oh, this is meaningless, and oh, this has nothing to do with our own lives, and you know, I know I sound like Julia Child, but that's what he sounds like. So he's saying these things, and it's like, this isn't him. I'm saying this is not the Russell Brand I've been a fan of. I'm a little bit out of focus in a minute. This is not the Russell Brand I've been a fan of for, well, over a decade. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And he keeps this is probably his 5th Johnny Depp trial video. And he keeps making them based, if you see the clips he's using, they're clips from Entertainment Tonight. Or one of the British tabloid type shows. And it's like, he kind of went along and started to go along with those of us who don't trust the mainstream media. And now, instead of him watching the trial, he keeps watching these little snippets that are heavily skewed to push a narrative on these entertainment type programs, and he's reacting to that, and he's making videos and telling his followers, which he has very many, millions, that, oh no, this is a distraction, oh no, this isn't important. Oh, and I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck is he talking about? He's not watching this. He's not watching the trial. He's watching these snippets, and then he's turning around and telling us that, oh, it's all nonsense, or oh, it's bullshit, or it's not important. There are important things going on in this world. Again, dismissing the importance of this, and in his comment section, and I look, and I sit there, and I sit there for half an hour, going down this comment section, looking at the guys going, I'm a fan of yours, but I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, and, you know, as a guy, this is very important to me, and it means a lot to me. And a lot of people have said, yeah, this whole believe all women thing, you know, it proves that it was wrong. This is important. This is significant. Down the line, boom, 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 comment, comment, comment. From the first video he made. He makes the second video. Same thing. Still acting like it's bullshit. It's nonsense. Ha, 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 ha. And it's like, the comments again, no, I think it's important. Here's why it's important. Explain to him. No, this is a victory for men everywhere who have been abused and nobody believes them. This is a victory for people who've been falsely accused. Just comment, comment, comment like that. And the next video comes out, and again, oh, it's a distraction, and oh, we should be talking about some Hillary Clinton bullshit or this other bullshit. And it's like, you can talk about that and talk about this, and they can both be important. Nope. According to him, it's just nonsense. And I'm just sitting there going, either he's got some kind of personal block against narcissistic abuse or something, because all of a sudden he's towing the narrative. He's going along with this mainstream media narrative that's very much trying to make it like Johnny Depp wasn't the victor here. Johnny Depp wasn't the abused person here. Or it was, well, they both abused each other. Or, oh, it was a toxic relationship. Or blah, blah. Anybody who watched the trial knows what the hell happened. Okay? And the difference between people who watched the trial and people who've heard about it is stark. It's a huge freaking difference. And he keeps making these, like I said, he's made like his 5th video, even though his entire comment section is telling him why he's wrong. He's made like his 5th video, like sort of talking out of his ass, but at this point he's not talking. He's willfully ignoring what he's being told and willfully going along with the mainstream media version of this, and I don't know why that's happening. But all this time I've been saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. This Grace Randolph thing, she's saying Gina did anti-Semitic, she made anti-Semitic, and what is it, statements, or she made anti-Semitic and anti-trans statements repeatedly. Again, I look at it and I say, well, Grace doesn't know what she's talking about. These two people paying attention all day long, how do they not know what they're talking about? But in this world right now, people are either being willfully ignorant. They are so hammered by everything going on in the world, their brain doesn't have enough space anymore. But people are really talking out of their ass. People are really making declarative statements about things, and it appears they have no idea what they're saying. They have no basis. Like I said, I've watched Russell Brand make 5 videos as if he hasn't watched 1 second of the Johnny Depp trial. He's only seen these snippets on these entertainment programs that skew it. And I've watched the Today Show. I watched the Today Show. I've never seen the Today Show do a story this bad with the Amber Heard thing. And they weren't doing it in the beginning. They're doing it now because they have to double down. Because the Me Too movement very much came from mainstream media. And canceling these men unfairly truly came from mainstream media. Like I said, the Today Show did it to their own. So they have to double down on this idea that let me pause this. I mean, this noise isn't bothering me, but the outside noise. This is the DVD. I mean, the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray cannot. I'm pressing pause on the Blu-ray instead of mute on the TV one. See what they've got me doing? The point is, I started this saying they don't know what they're talking about. I'm saying to myself, no, both of these people are too smart. There's no way they don't know what they're talking about. they're willfully ignoring things, or they're willfully passing on bullshit for some reason. But Gina never said these things. As long as I've been following her, which is pretty much before she got fired, I haven't seen a damn thing. I'm following her on Instagram too. I really don't pay that much attention to Instagram. I saw the one, like I said, the one drawing that supposedly got her into trouble that she did not make. She posted, as you, like I said, as you grab a photo off the internet, or you see somebody else and you retweet or whatever, she posted this photo that looking at it, I would never have said, oh, that's racist. As you said to me, look at this racist photo. And now with me looking at it, I would say, oh, okay, now I see what you mean. But just looking at it, I wouldn't have known that. And I don't think she did either. So that was it, though. You know? And she said all these she didn't say all these anti-trans things. And whatever the control entities are, they have weaponized this trans issue to an insane degree. It's like their bludgeoning thing. It's like what they use is their battering ram. When all else fails, say transphobe, say anti-trans. And once again, that speaks to a small segment of the population who get up in arms every time somebody almost kind of says something anti-trans somewhere. Again, this narrative, this stuff is crazy. But as I'm watching television, especially with the Johnny Depp trial, I've seen so many. When Drew Barrymore did her stupid, ridiculous laughing fit, and the Russell Brand thing isn't that far off, because he's making light of it too. When you're sitting there laughing about this stuff, that's why I'm like, there's something wrong with Russell Brand. Because either I know a little bit about his life because I read My Bookie Wook, which was his first book way back. Like I said, this is when he had the high hair. And as far as I know, it was him and his mom. His dad was a jerk. His dad did not behave appropriately. I don't know. Some people shouldn't be parents. Not that he was evil or anything, but there was a lot of issues there where he ended up boxing his dad on a show he had in England in a horrible fashion, but he did it, you know, because he needed to. He was a very bad drug addict. I know something of his life, and it wasn't great, and he may have grown up in a decent situation, but I don't think he was rich by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, it's not like I don't know what his situation was. Johnny Depp has, and you got to think that some parts of the Russell Brand personality come a little bit from Jack Sparrow. Like, there's Jim Morrison in there. But also, so there's something that really must have hit a nerve with him, because he's just totally off on this subject matter. And it's either willful ignorance of the actual trial or something. But people keep speaking about things and they have no idea what they're talking about. Whether I'm dealing with people in real life or whatever, people just talk like they know with authority. And they're supposing, they have an idea, they heard a thing. And it's like I said, I believe there's too much information right now. Duran Duran song. There's too much information out there in the world, so that people are relying on whatever news source they get, and they are going with it. I don't know if it's comforting. I don't know if it makes them feel good to feel like they know what's going on. But anybody who right now feels like they have all the information is wrong. Now, I try my best to, when I haven't had the internet, I felt really screwed up. Really screwed up, because I feel like I'm not even in the world anymore. Because I don't talk to people, I'm not around people. But I need to know what's going on. And it's probably been like that for probably ever. Because I can't remember back to when I didn't watch the news every day. and get that news source. So I still, like I said, I watch NBC. So if I think the mainstream media is a problem, I'm getting not my information, but I'm getting what the stories are from the mainstream media every day, from NBC, from the Today Show, from the nightly news, from my local channels. But I don't say, oh, okay, this is gospel. I see what the story subject is. Then I listen for what sounds like lies and what sounds like truth, or what sounds like made up shit, because I'm old enough and I've been around long enough to know when something doesn't sound right. I look at what actual people are saying on social media. I don't try to listen to bots. I would not listen to something that didn't have a face and a voice. So I don't, just because a lot of people are saying something, I don't go along with it. Just this morning, there was a Winona Ryder was trending, and they were showing there was a little video clip of her and David Harbour doing press for Stranger Things, and I guess they asked her about when she was coming up, and she was saying something about how she didn't have the look, you know, when she was trying to get cast in things, and David Harbour kind of made a face, and the interviewer guy was making a face, and then the person who's tweeting this said something about how Winona Ryder said she wasn't attractive back in the 80s. And I'm like, that's so not what this woman said. That's not what she said at all. And then everybody starts retweeting it. I mean, it's like a, I don't even know if it's a 30-second video. People aren't pressing play on it, or they're not listening to it. She didn't say, oh, I didn't look good in the 80s, or, oh, I wasn't pretty in the 80s. She's saying she didn't have the look, which she didn't. Because back in the 80s, they were very much looking for a sun-kissed, blonde, you know, beach girl. That was not Winona Ryder. She did not have the look. The first time I saw Winona Ryder was in a movie called Lucas. She didn't look anything like pretty Winona Ryder, because she had, you know, short hair and it was slicked back, and she just looked like a nerd girl. So Winona Ryder, very young, without makeup, with slicked back, short hair, there's not the look, you know. In Lucas, Courtney Thorne-Smith was in there. Courtney Thorne-Smith had the look. Anybody who could be that attractive girl in high school who the boys would like had the look. Winona Ryder did not. That's what she was saying. Somebody took this little clip, put at the top of it that Winona Ryder said she wasn't attractive. Then everybody starts saying, oh my God, if Winona Ryder doesn't think she's attractive, this is what's wrong with Hollywood. They took what she said, she said something else, and then everybody is commenting on it when that's not what she said at all, and saying, oh my God, how could she not think she's attractive? Oh my God. And that's like, that's not what she said. Listen to the damn clip. You can't waste the 30 seconds to hear what the woman actually said, because that's not what the person who tweeted this put up there, but you're just going to look at what the person tweeted. And now you're going to comment on how horrible Hollywood is because someone as beautiful as Winona Ryder didn't think she was attractive in the 80s. Not what the woman said at all. But everybody's saying, oh, every fucking tweet. Oh my God. None of these people knows what they're talking about. Why? They didn't take fucking 30 seconds to listen. People aren't listening to, people aren't looking for the truth. They're not looking for the source. And it's not mainstream media's fault every fucking time if the source is right in front of your face and you're choosing to ignore it. If Winona Ryder's saying, I didn't have the look in the 80s, so I wasn't getting cast, and you turn it around and say, well, I read that what she said is that she wasn't attractive. Not what she said at all. But everybody's, people, it's willful ignorance. The people have a lot in their head. I get that, but everybody right now is going around talking with authority, not knowing what the fuck they're talking about. I was in the bank yesterday. There was a guy standing behind me in line, an older guy, talking about stupid people who didn't want to get vaccines. Do you know how many times I've been in a situation where I'm standing there and I'm like, do I tear this person a new one? 'Cause I can. Because they're talking about me. Do I just stand here? Do I try to pick a fight so I can go to prison? Do I just sit here and let this person be ignorant? And I've been letting them be ignorant, because this happens to me in stupid place like the bank, the library, because otherwise I'm not around people, you know. And I've been hearing insults about people like me for years now. Trump voters, anti-vaxxers, people who have a mind of their own, God forbid, people who, you know, do not support gun control. I hear about what a horrible piece of shit I am all day long. I've made 1,000 billion videos now to state my case and say who I am and say exactly everything that's on my mind. If anybody wants to know if I'm a horrible piece of shit human being, it's all right here. I've explained how I try to be fair. I've explained how I think on every issue pretty much. And I don't think anybody would agree with me down low. I don't fit on either side of the aisle. This is why I don't even want to have anything. I'll just, you know, I'll just be in the aisle. Thinking my own thoughts, because I don't go along with anybody's narrative. Even most of the people who would defend someone like Gina Carano, I don't fit in their narrative. They have their own narrative too. I'm anti-narrative. I think everybody should think for themselves and have their own opinions and live freely and live nice lives. Everybody should have a warm, comfy bed and a roof over their head, and they should have food in their belly, and they should be able to learn, and they should be able to go to the doctor if something hurts. People I agree with on gun control and stuff like that would say that other opinion makes me a goddamn socialist, maybe a pinko commie. So what am I then? You know what I mean? I am no longer, I can no longer get behind the trans movement because of how much they hate the rest of us. And how they won't allow us our opinions or discussion. And I don't want to talk about that anymore. Because I'm done. There's no room to speak. There's no room for discussion. There's no room to talk. There's no room for the demonic cisgendered people that we are, apparently. So, okay, you stay over there and do your thing. I'm not going to bother with you anymore. But that'd make, according to people who don't pay attention very much, that'd make me a complete transphobe and anti-trans and I hate everybody. Right? Right? You push people away for so long, when they go, you hate them for it. Right? Again, I am myself. I think for myself. I give my opinions. I watch the news. I see what's going on, and I try to say something. I just see a situation right now where everybody is talking out of their ass, and nobody knows what they're talking about. I try to talk about things that I make mistakes. I make a lot of mistakes. That's why I thought I was having a cognitive problem. I've gone to a second therapist now who's basically told me there's no help for me. Ask for help, ask for help, ask for help. That's the line, right? That's the narrative. Ask for help. Second therapist. Oh, yeah, there's really no help for you. There's no therapy that's going to help you. As I said a million times, there is no help for me. I'm on my own in this world, and I'm not very successful, and I'm not a bootstraps kind of a person. I don't have the strength anymore, and I wasn't smart enough to do it back when I did. So whatever happens to me, happens to me. And if I think like that, I got a victim mentality, right? I'm just so tired of all the narratives and all the bullshit and all the people pontificating and telling everybody else who they are and what they're supposed to think, and if they don't think this, and then these people now speaking with absolute authority when I know they don't know what they're talking about. Like I said, I will sit in that comment section on a Russell Brand video, and everybody in the comment section knows what they're talking about because they watched the trial. And here Russell Brand is sitting there pretending to, you know, in his Jesus cosplay. Like I said, you can't cosplay Jesus and keep doing this. You know what I mean? Because he's diminishing Johnny Depp's situation. He's diminishing the whole thing. He's diminishing everybody in the comment section who's saying this is important. It's important to me. And he keeps doubling down and saying, oh, no. It's all bullshit. It's just a distraction. There are real stories in this world, and people aren't paying. As if we only have room for one. You're calling people stupid. You're saying their brain only is the size of a thimble. They only got the storage space of a thimble in their brain, and the only thing that's going in there is the Johnny Depp trial. Meanwhile, your brain can't handle the Johnny Depp trial, so you're only watching the snippet from Entertainment Tonight. Because you can only handle, how long is that? A minute and a half snippet? Instead of weeks of testimony? And then you're going to say, all those weeks we were too busy and we didn't watch the rest of the news? Yeah. Okay. We know exactly what's going on. We're living through it. We're living through the inflation and the gas prices, and there being no fucking hope for the 99%. We're living it. But all these people are speaking with authority. All these people are saying what other people said. Every time you turn around, somebody, it's one of these rich people or famous people or people with a platform like this Grace Randolph, they're saying something just flat out not true. If Gina ever tweeted that, she tweeted a photo that may have been used by anti-Semites in the past. She wasn't using it in that way. Other than that, I never saw her say anything anti-Semitic, and I've never seen anybody before say that Gina said anything anti-Semitic repeatedly. Anti-trans statements, I don't remember seeing any anti-trans statements from Gina Carano at all, much less repeatedly. And this Grace Randolph had put repeatedly in all caps. I don't understand why people are speaking with authority like that, and they're so sure of themselves about things that didn't happen. Oh, I remember what it was. Okay, I remember what it was. And I agreed with Gina, and I said similar things. Gina said, when people were becoming like militant about masks and lockdowns and all those kinds of things, and they were attacking their fellow citizens, and seeing the other as the problem, okay, Gina made some kind of comment or something about how that's how things were. I don't want to speak for her. The point is, I'll say what I would have said. That was something like what she said. What I would have said at the time, and I've said it many times, and I've said we were marching towards a Nazi type situation years ago, because in our country we had a president, we had a lot of illegal immigration happening in this country, and a lot of people who felt like they would have problems competing for jobs against these new undocumented workers complained to our government, and the government, again, instead of taking those criticisms or those calls for action as valid, they just dismissed the people who made those calls for action in terms of securing the border. They deemed those people racist because they did not agree that our border needed to be secured. They did not agree that having undocumented workers was going to impact any Americans in any kind of negative way in terms of competing for jobs and stuff like that. So they just decided that anybody who said anything about it was a racist who didn't like Mexicans. Again, this is what they do when they don't want to hear you, when they want to invalidate your opinion, when they want to take away your voice. They just call you bad names so that the people who don't know what's going on will just think you're the bad name. And they won't even bother to find out why you said what you said, or if your opinion is valid, or if you have any evidence or proof or anything. Because most people are dim and they don't know what they're talking about. And they will just hear the headline and go with that. Or they will hear the soundbite and they will go with that. So what I realized a long time ago was like, okay, you have a bunch of people in this country who are doing jobs, and there are a bunch of other people who need the jobs, and people who need the jobs maybe were born here, and they're like, but these outsiders are coming and they're taking jobs and now I don't have one. That is how things were in Germany. There was Hitler was able to become popular because there were a lot of sad poor people who didn't have work. And he was able to say to those sad poor people that didn't have work, hey, look who owns all the shops. They're not like you. Look who has all the money. They're not like you. They're the problem. And then people kept suffering and not having. And I don't know what the government at the time was doing or not doing. But there was nobody to aid those people in making their lives better or fixing their situation. So he was able to get those people to turn on these others. And that's how Hitler was born. Because he was able to take the poor and disenfranchised Germans who didn't have anything and turn them against the Jewish people. And that's how it started. So many years ago, when I saw all these Americans needing jobs and not having them, and the government ignoring the fact that people coming from other countries illegally was overburdening a system where when you have normal immigration, your government allows for that. They allow for X amount of people to come. That's why it's legal. When it's illegal immigration, that means people are coming, they're not coming the right way. The government hasn't allowed for that, and there may not be enough resources for everybody. And when there aren't enough resources for everybody, the people on the bottom have to compete with each other. And that means poor people who were born here and poor people who just came here have to compete for the same jobs and the same apartments and just the same livelihoods and life that because there isn't an infinite abundance. There isn't just a continuous supply of jobs, a continuous supply of apartments. There's a huge homelessness problem in this country. So if somebody is here and they came here and they don't belong here and they have an apartment, and somebody who was born here cannot find a place to live because there's no place for them, how can you not see that that person who belongs here should be able to have a roof over their head before the person who doesn't belong here? And that's not racist, and I'm not a racist. I think everybody should be happy and healthy and free. And if you want to help people who are refugees and you want to have people who are having a tough time wherever they came from, go ahead and do that. But you have to also help the people who are here. Or would you like them to be refugees? Would you like them to run out of the United States and go be a refugee in some other country and see if those people will help them? Okay, that's it. So years ago, when I saw more and more influx of people that the government had not allocated for coming here, when there was already homeless people and already Americans who needed jobs, I said, wait a minute, you're setting up a situation like it was before Hitler. The situation that allowed Hitler to rise up. We haven't had a Hitler. They try to make Trump a Hitler. He wasn't trying to get anybody to turn against each other. He was trying to fix things for Americans. And that was deemed racist. He was going to end up avoiding a Hitler situation by making America great again, but people didn't want to hear that. So any of us who were anywhere on the side of, hey, Americans need help too, hey, Americans need jobs too, hey, Americans need some place to live, we need to fix this country, we were called all kinds of things. And that's what I would have said. When the mask mandates came, I was against mandates because I don't believe in telling people what to do. With the vaccine mandates, this was really bad news as far as I'm concerned. So as we were getting more towards mandates, I was against those things. I was against forcing people to wear a mask. I wore a mask all the time. Guess what? When I go somewhere now, and it's a hospital type setting, and it's in a closed space, or it's somewhere where I think the air is not circulating, and many different kinds of people are going in, I'll still wear a mask. I don't want to get germs. I don't want to give germs. Am I going to get germs with a mask on? Yes, I am. But for me personally, that's what I choose to do. I'm not crazy, and I know the people who are really anti-mask will say I'm horrible because I choose to do that. From the beginning, before the mask mandates, I chose to wear a mask when I went to the grocery store, when I was in the bus. That's what I chose to do. I didn't like that it was mandated, because there are times I won't want to wear it. There are times I want to be able to breathe. You know what I mean? And I will make that decision for myself. But when people in the beginnings, you know, bucked against that and said, hey, I don't want these mandates, I think it's Nazi stuff, you couldn't invoke the word Nazi. You couldn't, when they had people turning on each other, and we're going to call the cops because you had a birthday party with 10 people and you didn't have masks on, and I saw you not have masks on, I'm calling the cops because there's a mask mandate in this city. It was turning people on each other the way they did in Germany. You know what I mean? If you pointed that out, if you pointed out that a situation was being set up to turn people on one another because of this totalitarian fascist mandates that some people did not want, you were then accused of all this other shit. You were accused of being, or you're accused of, what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? Like lessening, diminishing. You're accused of somehow if at the beginning of the pandemic, when things started being shut down and they started making mandates and people weren't allowed to do things, if you said this is what it was like in Germany before Hitler, you would have been accused of equating wearing a mask with the Holocaust, which nobody was doing, or equating the horrible way that the Jewish people suffered, and all kinds of people suffered, any kind of minority or whatever suffered under Hitler and the Nazis. It was as if you were equating people going into concentration camps with wearing a mask. Nobody was doing that, but that was the narrative. So that's why when people were then being very basic and saying a statement like that would make you anti-Semitic, which is ridiculous. Nobody in their right mind, and I have not seen anybody ever, and in my time, I have not heard a statement, I have not seen one tweet where anybody tried to minimize the Holocaust or equate the Holocaust to wearing a mask. But that's the leaps that people would make, because they get into a situation where if you say, like, they can call whoever they want a Nazi. They can call Vladimir Putin a Nazi all day long. All right. But if you mention the soup Nazi around the wrong person, they're going to say you're anti-Semitic because you are minimizing the Holocaust, or you're a Holocaust denier because you're saying Nazis are about soup. There are those people who, they want to be intelligent. They heard a thing. They want to be outraged, so that their friends can see how outraged they are and what a wonderful person they are. This is what they call virtue signaling. They're not smart enough to understand a complicated issue. And sometimes you're an intelligent person and you make a statement, or you make a correlation, or you try to compare two things, and you're just speaking your mind and you're supposing, and people come in like you just came down from Mount Sinai and declared that this is law and this is carved in stone and these are your opinions and they are fact, and you just supposing something on the internet or trying to have a discussion is now making a declarative statement for all time, and your statement is that of somebody who is anti this or anti that, when you're just asking a question, or you're trying to have a conversation, or you're trying to suppose something. You're saying, gee, wasn't it like this? I don't want things to be like Nazi Germany, so I'm noticing that this situation is reminiscent of the situation in Germany before the Nazis, so I'm thinking about that, and I say a thing, and now next thing you know, I'm anti-Semitic and I'm a Holocaust denier, and I think that wearing a mask is more painful to me than what the Jews went through. That's the leap that they make. This is what happens. This is why Twitter is weaponized by the people who are trying to divide people and trying to get kids, people who don't understand nuance, people who can't have a complicated discussion, have never had a complex discussion because everything was spoon-fed to them and there was a right and wrong answer. And if they said the wrong answer, they were put in timeout, they were put on the naughty mat, and there's only one answer, and it's the answer that everybody else is giving. And you give that answer and you don't say anything else, or else everybody's going to ostracize you, call you a bad person, no longer allow you to participate in society, erase you from all your films, kick you out of Hollywood, and tell everybody you are the worst person in the world. You raped your ex-wife with a bottle because she said so. And you should never work in this town again. And everybody who loved you should hate you. And why can't you be like Ewan McGregor, who just says what he's told? Do you understand what I mean? Why can't you just do what you're told? Why can't you just toe the party line? If you don't toe the party line, we're going to call you a bunch of bad names. And then when we say, and we're going to fire you, and we're going to do all this shit, and then later on down the line, when we're talking about how we defend all women and we defend all actresses, we're going to forget you were a woman, or you were an actress, or you worked for us. And then when other people bring it up, we're going to drag out the old, yeah, she's an anti-Semite. And we're going to get whoever's on our payroll to say, she's an anti-Semite, she's transphobic, she was so repeatedly transphobic, oh my God. There's no more trans because she killed them all and she ate them. People don't know what they're talking about, and they talk with authority. And those people are spurred on by these people with a bigger platform who have many viewers and many subscribers and followers who just make these blanket statements that just aren't true. Like I said, either they forgot and they just have a strong feeling, oh yeah, I remember she was transphobic and she was anti-Semitic, so I'm just quickly tweet that, and it's fine because I know what I'm talking about because I have a lot of followers and I vaguely remember. Or I'm just going to say whatever I think because I keep seeing this on Entertainment Tonight. Or I keep seeing this on my local news and I can't get away from it and I don't want to think about it. So I'm going to bitch about it and I'm going to complain and I'm going to minimize it and I'm going to dismiss the huge victory this was for male survivors of domestic violence because I think it's annoying to hear about it every day. And it's clearly just a he said, she said divorce trial. And it's just celebrity nonsense. And there's so many more important things in the world. The kind of important things I think about. I think about my own life. And my own life is important. And none of this really affects my own life. And it doesn't affect your life either. Yeah, okay, you're a survivor of domestic violence. Yeah, you were falsely accused of something. But it's not your life. It doesn't affect you. Don't you know what your life is about? Because I know what your life is about. I know it's important for your life. You don't. There's this arrogance and this willful ignorance and this thing where people are just very much telling other people what they think, who they are, what's important in their life, what's not important in their life, and people don't know what the hell they're talking about. I do my best when I'm talking about anything, even if I'm talking about a fucking movie, even if I'm talking about color grading or whatever is a term in a movie. If I think that somebody was in a movie and I get it wrong, I try to come back and say later on I made a mistake in my video, or I try to say I don't know, I could be wrong. I feel like I'm always saying I don't know, I could be wrong, because when I'm not 100% clear on something, I say that. But also I know that I keep making mistakes sometimes. I just say the wrong word. You know what I mean? I'll mean nickel and I'll say quarter. I'll mean Alaska and I'll say Alabama because my brain spits out the wrong word. Sometimes it's kind of a close word and my brain spits it out. I will go back sometimes, watch one of my own videos to check for, you know, if it got stuck. And I'll be like, who the hell said that? Sometimes things will come out of my mouth that are wrong. And I've done everything I can to explain that I'm having some kind of cognitive issue, which, like I said, there's apparently no help for. I'm too young. The insurance doesn't cover. I don't fucking know. The lines are too long for me to even get on a waiting list for an appointment. Therapists say there's no help for me, so I guess I should just, what's the answer when a therapist says there's no hope for you? I don't know what happens then. But here I still am. Jesus Christ, it's June 4th. It's somebody's birthday. I think it's quite a few people's birthday. famous people I liked and people I used to know in the 3rd grade. That's a big birthday in my mind, and I don't know whose birthday it is. It's somebody. But hey, I'm still here. My mouth still works. The microphone still works. It's still plugged in. I found ways to have the internet when I can't have the internet. But I'm a lost fucking cause. I don't know. When there's no hope to be had and I keep trucking, there's always people to remind me that there's no help for me. And because nobody knows what they're talking about, but everybody's speaking with authority. And I guess it's arrogance. I guess maybe it comes from the selfie culture. Maybe it's long COVID. Maybe that's a symptom of long COVID. There's huge arrogance. There's huge, and I guess I'm arrogant too, but I'm saying what I think. And I'm not trying to say that this is law, that this is I don't know what this guy on the tennis is doing. They keep showing him like doing finger signs behind his back. Oh, they're playing doubles. That's why. I'm like, why are they showing it like he's doing... I thought it was like they were showing it because he's doing something wrong. You know what I mean? Like in baseball, when you do the coach gives the signals or whatever. I thought they were trying to say it was coach signals. I'm like, why do they keep focusing on that? Anyway, so, because I kept looking up and being like, what? But, yeah, people don't know what they're talking about, and they're talking more than ever. And when I don't know what I'm talking about, I try my best to say I don't know what I'm talking about. I know I still do it. But not to dismiss other people, not to accuse other people. The accusations have to fucking go. If I say Steven Spielberg made a shitty movie, that's my opinion. If I accuse Steven Spielberg of being a bad man, that'd be something else, and I don't do that. But I just hated West Side Story. That's why I'm saying that. But when you're talking about people being anti-Semitic and you're talking about people being anti-trans and you're just saying that shit, or you're telling a bunch of people in your own comment section that something that's very important to them, like the Johnny Depp trial, doesn't fucking matter and it's just a distraction and they should be thinking about other things. I mean, these people... they don't have, or they're choosing to ignore there's something wrong when you strike out and lash out like that. And I don't know what it is. But people are, like I said, people are talking with authority and they're accusing people and they're saying things about people that sometimes just aren't true, or they're telling people what's important in their lives, and it's like, you don't get to make those decisions. You don't get to decide for other people that this story is important or this doesn't mean anything. And you don't get to tell somebody what's on their heart. And that's what's been such a problem with all the times where somebody calls somebody anti-trans or homophobic or racist. You don't know what's going on in somebody's heart. The person you think is wonderful could just say all the right things and do all the right things and be the biggest racist in the world. They just never say it because they're wearing a mask. Somebody who's telling the truth maybe slips up or says something they're not supposed to say, or they're older and they come from a generation where the word police weren't on the march all day long, so they say the wrong thing because they don't even know it's the wrong thing, or they say something to defend somebody because when they were growing up and when they were formed and for most of their adult life, it wasn't an offensive thing. I got a video put in private, a live stream that I did, and I was like, this is the one live stream where I didn't say anything. You heard all the shit I just said, right? This was like the one live stream. I didn't say a damn thing, but I put a word in my description that when I was growing up, that word was basically, we used that back in the 80s. That's why I say I'm from the 80s. In 1980, at the end of 1980, I was 7 years old. Okay? By the time I left that decade, I was graduating, I was in my senior year of high school, and I was getting ready to go to college. So that's why I say I'm from the 80s, because those were my formative years. That's where I grew up. That's where I learned to be a human being. When I was a kid growing up, this word that I put in my description was basically the same word as freaking out. I said I'm freaking out, but instead of freaking, I used a different word. And I think that word triggered something that made it that I was somehow using a slur. You know what I mean? Like, say you go to the store and you give them $2, and the thing you bought was $1.50, and they give you 2 coins back, and then you leave and you get in your car and you see that there's 30 cents in your hand. So instead of them giving you 2 quarters, they gave you a quarter and a nickel, and you didn't notice because they were both round and you were busy, and now you realize you were shorted 20 cents. There's another way to say that. Instead of, oh, I wasn't given my right amount of change, there was a thing we all said. Now, if I say that now, somebody's going to say, well, that's racist. Most of us use that word not knowing the origin of it. Okay? But it meant, at some point, it was a racial slur because people did business with a certain kind of individual, and those people, maybe they felt like they were screwed out of some money, and therefore, and I'm not talking about those people, I'm talking about other people who maybe had tambourines and earrings and, traveled to and fro. Those people, what that word that you would say, instead of I was shorted my change or I wasn't given my right amount of money, you may say I was blanked. That word actually came from, because people would say that those kind of people would rob you or not give you your right amount of money or something like that, so you were blanked. Okay? People don't even know how to spell it that way. If somebody tried to spell it in a sentence, they wouldn't spell it that way. But now people have been taught the origin of that word, so the younger folks know that you can't say this word because technically it's a slur. So people will now no longer use that word that when I was growing up, that was just the word. Nobody knew where it came from. You know what I mean? So there are some words that everybody used when I was a kid and nobody knew it meant anything. But now people are being taught of the origins of every word and why this word's going to hurt this one's feelings and that word's going to hurt that one's feelings. And you're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. You just think that's what that word means. And then you get attacked for it. Like I said I was freaking out. But instead of freaking, I used a different word. Rhymes with jazz. Okay? And I was like, I had to sit there because they put it in private. They violated the community guidelines. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I watched the whole video twice. I'm like, I didn't say anything. I'm always saying crap. And I'm like, oh, they're going to put me in the gulag now. I was just talking about my life I wasn't talking about anything. I was talking about movies or something. It had nothing to do with anything. I think I was just talking about what I was going through. Or I went to the store. I wasn't talking about anything controversial. No current events, topics, nothing. I was just blah, blah, blah. Itsy bitsy chat. And I just put that word. Instead of I was freaking out, I was out. And I think that's what it was, because there was absolutely nothing. And I just had to sit there and figure it out, because they don't tell you why. What's wrong with your video. They don't tell you what you did wrong. They don't tell you, oh, it's something in your description. I had to think about it. And I went, oh my God, I think, because before my time, people used that word for people who had certain problems. And one word that came from the same root word people would use, and if somebody was called that at the time, they would be offended. You know what I mean? The way you may call somebody with special needs a word that everybody used when I was a kid growing up, but you can't use that word anymore. So it was something like that kind of word back in the 60s or 50s before I was born. If people used that word in that way, and I didn't know, because when I was a kid growing up, it just meant that you were freaking out. So I used the word, and now, oh my God. Community guidelines, I'm going to hell, I'm a horrible person, I must hate those people and all their kind since the dawn of time, right? referring to myself, just like if I made a mistake and I called myself that word that people used to call somebody with special needs, I'm evil. When I was talking about myself, can't use that word. If I was talking about Steven Spielberg's movie, West Side Story, and I called it that word, the movie would get offended, and I would have to go to evil person prison for being a horrible racist, transphobe, whatever, because I said that word. Right. I don't like West Side Story. It sucked. The Steven Spielberg one. Somebody will say, oh, she's anti-Semitic. I don't know. Because of Steven Spielberg. Well, he made Schindler's List, and she hates West Side Story. Therefore, she's racist and she hates Jewish people because West Side Story doesn't suck. So clearly, she's a horrible human being who probably, you know, writes praise to Hitler every night or some shit. I don't know. People keep talking with authority about what other people should be doing with their lives, what other people should be thinking, what they should be wearing, what they should be putting into their bodies, whether they should be having procedures or not, whether they should be owning firearms. People are constantly talking with authority. They know what everybody else is thinking. They know what everybody else should be doing. They know what's important and what's not important. People need to get off of other people. People need to allow other people to be sovereign over themselves. They have to allow people their freedoms if they want freedom. That's freedom of speech. That's freedom over your body. That's freedom over, that's the freedom to thrive. If you are going to sit there and determine what's important for others, what other people are thinking, you're going to label people from your pulpit as anti-Semitic and anti-trans and all these things because you vaguely remember they might have said something a year ago and you're misremembering, or you're just repeating what you were told to repeat because the people who pay you told you to. I don't even know why. I don't know why, because I don't think these people are stupid. And they're saying things. They're talking out of turn. They're talking out of school. They're saying things that I don't expect from intelligent people. But everybody is talking with authority about shit they know nothing about. I try to talk to people that I see in real life, and then they start explaining to me something, and I'm like, okay, they don't know. They're explaining it to me like I don't know, but I already know that they have their facts wrong. Facts. Not their opinion. Everybody can have their opinion. I want people to have their own opinions. But when they start explaining to me, and I know, like they'll tell me what they heard about a TV program that they didn't watch. And I sat there and watched it with my own eyes and ears. They've got it wrong and they're explaining it to me. And I know because I was a witness to the program because I watched it. But they're now telling me that I'm wrong because they heard about it. Or they're saying so-and-so said this and so-and-so said that. And I was there and I saw the statements and I saw the tweets. And you only vaguely remember, or you're going by what somebody told you months ago, but you never saw the tweets and you weren't reading it. I don't know why people are speaking with authority like that, because I try to do everything I can to say, I don't know, I wasn't there, I only heard. I try to frame my references. So when people just start talking like they're the authority, like they know what's in somebody else's head, heart, mind, they watched the trial, they read the tweets, and they act like they got the evidence right there in their pocket, and they really have no idea. I don't understand. How do you speak with authority and just... People don't know what they're talking about, and they're talking constantly. And anybody who wants to say, well, this is what I think and this is my opinion, great. But when you're making statements that this is not important for your life, this trial, the Johnny Depp thing, it doesn't matter in your life. It's not important. When you say this person said these anti-Semitic statements, and there weren't any. Anti-Semitic means against Semites, means against Jews. An anti-Semitic statement means you have to say something against Jewish people. If you haven't said anything against Jewish people, you haven't made anti-Semitic statements. So when the people have the evidence for these things, bring it. Because the rest of us are sitting there going, we haven't seen it, show it to us. They don't show it to you. They just make the statement. They talk with authority when they don't know what the hell they're talking about. They never come with receipts. They never show you the thing. Like I said, these people, I just watched a bunch of people sit there and say that, to comment on how Winona Ryder thought she wasn't attractive right on the video. And the woman said, no such thing. It's not important. Nobody's going to lose their mind. No, the world's not going to be decided over Winona Ryder saying that she didn't have the look, and everybody interpreting that as her saying that she wasn't attractive. But the fact is, they didn't interpret it, because if they watched it, they would know. That's not what she said. But they're going based on what the person who put the video in the tweet said. And that didn't matter. The person who watched the video misinterpreted it. On purpose, by accident, I don't know. They misinterpreted what she said. Said that she said she wasn't attractive. And then every single person who had that video right there available to them to watch for 30 seconds decided to not watch it and just comment on how Winona Ryder found herself unattractive in the 80s. It is not what the woman said at all. And they couldn't be. And all these people are talking with authority. All these people are talking about what they don't know about when they could have known by press and play, by sitting there for 30 seconds. Now, I'm saying press play because I don't have my things on autoplay. Some people have their things on autoplay. It may have autoplayed, and they may have ignored their own ears and eyes and just said that she's found herself unattractive because they read those words. People are speaking about that which they do not know, which they are choosing to not know, where they're being willfully ignorant, or they're just ignoring what they heard and saw, and are just, everybody's doing spin now. Everybody's making their own narratives or going along with narratives. I don't understand what's going on. I don't understand why people are doing this. Why is everybody speaking with authority? Because we're all walking around in a fog, because you can't trust what anybody tells you. You can't ask somebody what time it is. You can't ask them, is it raining out? They're going to spin it. They're going to not look out the window. They're going to come in. They have no idea because they haven't gone out for days, but they're going to tell you, oh yeah, it's raining. They didn't check the Weather Channel. They didn't check the radar. They didn't look outside. They didn't hear rain on the roof. They just want to give an answer. So they tell you something. People are just, what is it? Why are people just constantly talking about stuff that they don't know about? They don't know what they're talking about. They didn't watch the trial and they're telling you about it, even though you did. They're claiming this woman said anti-Semitic and anti-trans things repeatedly. What are you talking about? Bring your receipts. You've been doing a show for like 9 minutes. Okay, so when did you do it? Let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe she did. Maybe she was over your house every day for months, and she kept saying anti-trans, and anti-Semitic things in your house that I didn't hear. So tell me that then. But if you're talking about the stuff that we all know about, so if you know something I don't, if Russell Brand had his own private Depp versus Heard trial that he saw that wasn't important, okay. But if you're talking about something and you didn't take the time to watch it, or you're talking about something and you don't even remember the tweets or whatever, why are you talking about what you don't know about? Why are you not pressing play or listening to what Winona Ryder said before you start talking about it? Why is everybody just talking out of their ass constantly? Say your opinion. Say, I don't know what I'm talking about. Say, I heard a thing and I'm talking about something I heard. But then frame it so that we know that it's your opinion, or that you don't have all the facts, or you remember that you heard that somebody said something horrible, or you personally, yeah, you watched the trial but you don't think it's important. But if you think it's important, good for you. How about that? No, it's not important for anybody. I don't know why people are talking this way. I don't know why people are they're just talking about what they don't know about. And it's bad, and it's wrong, and it's making the whole world just this, the collective unconscious, or whatever you call that our collective brain space that's right above all our heads, it's getting really dumb. It's full of fog, it's garbage soup, it's a bunch of confusion and nonsense. I swear I read a tweet the other day that said, and nobody corrected it, that said if the Celtics win the World Series, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, is that a joke tweet? And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I don't think that's a joke tweet. Somebody said if the Celtics win the World Series, and I'm looking at it and people are commenting on it, and I'm like, they seem to be commenting seriously. I'm like, if that was a joke tweet, Celtics are a basketball team. They're in the NBA final. The World Series is for baseball. That's why I'm saying it would need to be a joke tweet. But it looked like a mistake that nobody corrected. But I'm looking at it going, is that a joke? Because it could be a joke. Then everybody else would have to be joking on this thing. And it doesn't look like it. The more people talk about that which they do not know, it's going to be impossible for any of us to navigate this world if everything is a lie, or everything is a mistake, or everything is bullshit, because people are going around brain dead and spreading their brain deadness, and we're all getting stupider together. And I don't understand why this is happening. We could all be smarter together if we shared our information with each other, and we discussed, and we got to the truth through contemplation and discussion, just like you do when you have a trial, like the Depp v. Heard trial, where Johnny Depp was victorious. Because people listened to him. The whole world listened to him, except for people who refused to watch the trial but comment on it with authority. Everything I do is my theory. Everything I make up is my own ideas. And I try to explain where I get these ideas from, but I always say I think, and it's my opinion. Even when I am 100% sure of something, I try to say I'm 99.9% sure, because I never want to speak like I'm the authority. But like I said, I'm starting to think I need to be arrogant, because the whole rest of the world is being arrogant and full of themselves and sure of themselves. And I'm the only one going, well, not the only one, but I'm always saying, okay, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, because I know enough to know I'm not infallible. And so it goes.